I think it's proper that we're doing it the way we're doing it. I mean, we've got a good plan, we've got a lot of stuff that needs to be done, but I think, basically the stuff that's most important is going to be done. So I would entertain a motion.
We're using the language in that's on the agenda from the standard language that we've used for years and years that Mr. Spear approves. We're not changing, we didn't change anything on that.
Right, well, that's the, I mean, you all.
The resolution.
You always do the resolution, we don't really hear. We just pass it, the resolution for the tax rates as they exist.
Right.
Or they were last year.
Recommended
by y'all.
Alan, those tax rates,
Yes, it's a rate for the assessment, but we've got a resolution we can read for you.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
I asked for a motion, Mr. Speaker. Do we hear a motion to approve the rates as presented?
So moved.
Okay, Larry makes the motion. Second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the tax rates to be the same as they were last year. The resolution will be the same as last year, right? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion
Johnny,
carries.
my point was that rates is more suitable for ad valorem taxing units.
Well,
This is a tax assessment schedule.
that doesn't change the fact of what we're trying to do, so.
That says it in the resolution.
The resolution
Yeah, I know.
does it, I mean, I don't know what they've printed.
It is an
Is that
assessment.
correct? You're the one that did it.
Yeah, it's a benefit tax, it's not an ad valorem. Benefit tax have rates too, and the rates in this case is dollars per acres rather than per assessment.
Same
Right,
resolution.
right, that's my point.
So it still is a rate, it's just a different unit measure
Well, it's correct in
than in the
the
resolution.
resolution, so. What we need to do is pass the resolution, which we did. All right, moving on. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Rose. Sounds like maybe your job will get a little easier with that lower valley coming on.
Yes, sir.
So,
It will.
It won't be easy, that's a little easier. Again, thank you for all the good work.
You're welcome.
All right, General Manager.
On item A, do you think we should move that to the closed session, Tony, just in case we need to, some guidance from attorneys?
Okay. Yeah, if you want to do so.
Which one are we?
Number 7.
So
Page 7.
Yeah.
contract.
7A.
Item B, I received a letter from the Bureau of Reclamation.
7A.
They're having their NWRA conference, and where the commissioner of the Bureau of Reclamation usually meets with different entities that request, and I've got to answer them. The last couple of years, Robert and I have attended the NWRA. Prior to that, Johnny and I had attended and briefed the commissioner on the operating agreement and so on. So anyway, I'd like to go because we were just awarded a grant from them.
It's a good time to be able to visit with the deal. I just wish they'd have it in a nicer place.
Yes. Yeah.
Where's it at?
That's the second.
Where's it at?
Coronado Island.
Coronado Island, really?
In the Coronado, Del Coronado.
Yeah.
That's ghetto.
It's a,
It's in the
Yeah, I think
you know, you have to deal with all those ghosts and so on in the hotel.
It's rough. Hazard pay for sure.
The noise of the ocean right next to the ocean.
So
And,
loud.
All the jets.
you know, but
You're gonna take Robert with you?
yes, I was going to take Robert with me again. You know, he's been going with me the last couple of years. Robert won't be with us this morning. He's had some surgery on his leg. He's had some vein surgery.
Okay, he has some problem.
Yeah, so he was going to have another procedure today, and they moved it up. He wanted to be here, but they moved it up to 10 o'clock, so he's already...
Something about the snowfall, he said.
Yeah, I think he's already a little nervous. But I told him things would work out. Anyway, I don't know if any board members would like to attend. Johnny, I don't know if you it's the 7th, 8th, and 9th is the conference. We usually have the meetings on the second day, on the 8th, with the commissioner. I've met her, I met her up at Salt Lake. David Palumbo was there also, and she'll be at this conference also. And, it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I need to know today tentatively, because I need to fill out that form and send it in before the deadline's tomorrow on that.
I think it's pretty important.
Yeah, I think Al wanted to go also.
I don't know if I want her to go, but I think I might have to go. But I'm not sure I can. But I think if we can get one or two board members go because of the EBID will have to be there.
Yeah, EBID usually goes on
Miguel
for
wants to go, and you wanna go?
No,
Mark says he's got a
I've got a
conflict.
conflict, yeah.
I think I can make it.
You can?
Yeah, you guys
Six,
go.
seven,
I'm
Tuesday.
pretty sure I'm not gonna be able to.
7, 8, and 9.
When do you think those, Maria, you were talking about some possible dates in November. When do you have any idea what they're talking about?
It's pretty much any time during the month.
But they'll set a specific day or days or whatever.
Well,
Are they talking about doing it here or where?
yeah, totally at convenience of board members and as well as the dates.
Well, it doesn't need to be close to the meeting date.
I'm gonna do it for the 8th. That's the
The meeting day will be next month, will be the 15th.
Yeah, well, they'll let me know it's either the
Right,
8th or
that
the
would
morning
be
of the
one
9th.
thing to do, John, is try to-
I could come for the day.
If it become, I mean, you're just, but I'm like thinking of possibilities, so, probably if we do it around, a day or so around the meeting day, it'd be better for me,
Right.
You know, the last time that Johnny went with me, Somac is there at the NWRA. I don't know if he's going this year.
Is that?
And-
I
Is that
don't
a
know.
plus or a
Is that the helpful?
Well, usually EBID takes their attorney.
I don't know if she's going this time or not. But it's important to have board members there to show, because
Yeah.
we're working with the USA and all.
Yeah, well, you can do, we don't have to make the deal, it meets a little ways off, so if you wanna go,
Oh, no.
I can't
you
do
can't go.
it.
Okay, well, you two can go, that's good.
And then
If George wants to go,
George, you come on board, George, go on board.
you're good, yeah. If you'd like to go, I mean, it'd be a good learning experience.
Crash course.
What days did you say, Chuy?
7th, 8th, and 9th
November.
November. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
It's a national water conference for a lot of the reclamation. There's 4,000 irrigation districts similar to us that are under reclamation law, so.
It's usually about 1,500 attend.
Yeah, so everybody from California dominates a lot of times, but.
I've gotten to present at that conference. 2 years ago, I presented on running an irrigation district along the border.
Say the seventh.
Anybody on the board that wants to go and
Yeah.
can go, I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna be able to.
You can?
I don't think so, Judy.
Okay. You can't do
I
that?
don't think so.
Okay.
I can't make it.
And
I wonder if I'm gonna make the meeting.
I was thinking of topics. Of course, we always talk about the operating agreement. It'll be a good time with the new commissioner to do that. And then we'll talk grant funding. And
That's the main thing, talk about the grant funding.
right.
You say EBID usually sends board members too?
EBID usually goes in 2 or 3, sometimes 4,
Yeah,
and
they
plus
will.
their lawyer.
They
and-
go everywhere.
That's a good reason if all three can go.
Yeah.
We have to be careful about a quorum, so.
Oh, yeah.
So they have 9, so they can send 4 without a quorum, we can only send 2.
Well, but we can post it.
We
You
can
can
post
post it, just as good.
to check on out-of-state quorums.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right, so
Well, y'all worked it out,
I'll
I'm
do
pretty
that.
sure I'm not gonna be able to go, so.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, then, last item C, we were awarded a $1 million grant by the Bureau of Reclamation. Al and I are probably going to meet with them next week on the details. And the funding is for to finish out the Riverside project. And then also, while we're talking about grants, I had a visit from the chairman of the Texas Water Development Board, Peter Lake, here 2 weeks ago, and he spent about 3 hours with me, and got to visit with him, talked about our applications that we have pending with them on grant funding for stormwater and for improvements to our infrastructure. He toured by himself, looked at some of the canals and so on. He wanted to look at our project, but he was very impressed with our project. And these are his words. He says, I wanted to come visit the leading irrigation district in Texas.
You running for election?
No, he's appointed by the governor. He's a real nice guy. He's an accountant by trade, and he's been on the board what, 3 years now.
Yeah.
And then he was just appointed as the chairman.
Oh, that's good. It's great to have somebody like that in
Yeah.
here and look at their deal and
And so
pass that compliment. That was good.
and we always, of course, Kathleen Jackson always comes and visits with us whenever she's through here. She's been with us like maybe 7 times total, so. And she's helped us tremendously
Yeah.
on our awards.
So just one other member, so you get 2 of them.
So they've got a new member. I still need to meet with him. But anyway, that's all we have, unless you all have any questions. We've got a couple more grants pending with the Bureau of Reclamation. They're smaller grants that we still haven't heard from them yet. They haven't decided.
I read that last letter that they wrote to you, you know, in relation to that grant. It sounds like Al's got to continue writing that thing. It doesn't sound like it ever stops.
You want me to brief them on the grant?
Well,
or-
no, I'm just curious. It says, this is not a final commitment. It says, when they ask you to do some more, you have to keep, even after you write that grant, you have to keep going back to them and updating it.
Yeah, we got to give reports and.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very complicated process. Remember, we did, Partador was a federal grant, we did the last one of this size, this
We
magnitude.
have to put up 50%
Yes,
in kind.
right. And the
We do
grants,
construction.
yeah, the federal grants projects typically run 10 to 20% more expensive than if we did it with our own resources, but you get 50%, so we balance
We're still
out
better.
30 to 40%.
Okay.
So that's, I know that's frustrating because, but, so the process is very rigorous. But right now, our first part of that is the environmental assessment work. We did an environmental assessment in 2008. I helped with that, but Reclamation did it out of Albuquerque. We did the state assessment. The state's a summary, not an assessment. It's less detailed, and Water Development approves those. And ours was approved. The federal one was approved in 2008. We do have a finding of no significant impact on this project. It is 10 years old. Typically we don't know, but normally that would be, we require at least updating at this point by the federal government. So we're trying to get the first meeting, which we have scheduled pretty quick here, is to find out if they're going to update that, require it to be updated. I think they probably will. If they don't, great, we're ready to start. If they do require updating, I recommend to Mr. Reyes that we allow or entertain or request that the updating be done by the Albuquerque office that did the original report. We'll have to pay for that. It qualifies part of our, we'll worry about how it actually does it. I know it's federal money, we'll pay for half of it, we'll pay for another half. And then it's just going back to the federal government. I know it's confusing when you start doing those things, but my experience has been that it's Reclamation is the one that has to approve that ultimately, and have them do the report is almost a necessity. It's not required by law, but I would highly recommend that we use them.
It might take a little longer.
It's hard to tell, we'd probably get the report done from a private contractor very quickly, but we wouldn't know if they're gonna approve it. They may want additional stuff, so you may have to go back and forth 3 or 4 times to get what they want. Whereas if they're doing the report, they know what they want. And I think they did the operating agreement, they did the entire EA.
The determination of whether it's needed is the first thing.
That's the first thing. In 10 years, my experience has been it's usually at 10 years it is needed to be updated. But it's previously disturbed earth. The TWAs have approved it, and a resolution in our favor. We did our homework. We went out to these people ahead of time. We got the senator's office, the state reps, the congressmen, all those people have already seen this and support it. So I think it's totally.
It's just finishing up something we already started.
if we had had the funding during the first appropriation, we would have done the entire thing. There just wasn't funding available. As you guys know, I know 10 years.
Since it's lit, it's kind of like a work in progress, it's just the funding's the only thing that's different. So gosh, you'd think that they wouldn't even require anything, but, you know, I'm just saying.
Well, unless some endangered species moved into the area, we've got to find out.
Is there a human moved in there and then?
You know, Pete's here, I don't think anything's moved into that part of it, except for sand. We have lots of sand. I don't think there's a weed, we keep the weeds down, it's maintained, it's a disturbed area, you know, we have to excavate sand out of it periodically, so. But it is a 3-year project? isn't it?
Yes, it's a 3-year
So
project.
it's not gonna be quick, so you can't.
Well, that's a huge deal, though, I'll tell you what, something that if we can ever get the rest of Lake Riverside, sure make a big difference for everybody.
And we're applying right now, we're in the process, we've got Omar working on a grant that became available through Texas Water Development Board that we have to submit by January, where we've targeted from the Partidor downstream to Socorro Road, the Franklin feeder. And that's the only part that we lack on the Franklin feeder. And then Al and Jay have been working on Wasteway 1 to Wasteway 2 on the Riverside, designing it and so
We
on.
don't have the money to build that, but we're gonna at least get it.
Where we can, once we've complete that, then we have the option of seeking grant money for that or borrowing money from Texas Water Development Board from the SWIFT fund at very little interest.
I think one thing that's super important, not just for this irrigation district or the entire state, and she gets credit, 100% credit for this, was that and it's taken a while, doesn't it, Judy? But we started lobbying that their grants, the Water Development Board, their funding be available for concrete lining. They weren't. I think they just hadn't thought about that as a conservation measure. What, about 5 years ago you started? And
Right, and I went and
as of
testified.
yesterday, it got approved.
Yeah, I went and testified about 6 months ago before the board of directors on it.
Not just for us, but for everybody.
Yeah, I was the only general manager that showed up for that, but anyway, I gave a presentation and they have funded it for the first time.
It is a qualified, and the project's, grants haven't changed, so they added that as one of the things we can do, which is great. They actually paid on a different grant, a one-time deal. They did this lining of the first part of Riverside from the American Canal to the discharge of Bustamante, 4,000 feet. That was a special thing, and that's what, they saw how beneficial that was, and that's what motivated them to try to get it approved for all our grants. And it is, in the regional water plan, we're approved for these other projects. We've got them in as strategies, so they're available for SWIFT funding. SWIFT funding is a loan or a bond. It's a low interest, like it was 0.3%, 25 to 40-year terms. But it is, since it does require an obligation, you have to show revenue, and it might require an election. Big enough. We haven't talked to the lawyers about it. Figure out what it requires.
To borrow the money, you said?
Right.
Yeah, I'm always been real queasy about borrowing anything. I like, the grants are great, and if we got the money, do it, but to get involved in the borrowing, there's always, gotta be looked at very carefully.
Right.
But there's kudos to Chew for getting that done. So it's a big deal. It was a big deal.
Yeah, I know getting it done, that's great, but I mean, it includes the grants also, not just.
Right, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Just
this
that
is all-
function.
No, it always been in. We've gotten you back when you were in the far west. We got that put in for the SWIFT for the loans. We never were planned to use them, but we at least got qualified for canal linings, and now it's in the grants. So.
So that's all I've got.
Okay. I'm gonna district engineer, we'll talk about that other stuff in closed session, Chief.
Okay.
Sure. So, it's too early to do any forecasting. We usually don't have any reliability until February. We still do it though, right? Everybody likes the forecast, so.
Well, you have to have some kind of idea.
Yeah, so it doesn't work. So this is this is the rainfall for September. And for some reason, most of it was over in alfalfa field in Lordsburg.
And it's all your fault, you got,
Yeah.
your fault you get cut cutting your hay, you shouldn't
I
have
know,
done
the field farm goes. Yeah, every time I cut hay, it rained. Literally, I mean, it did, it's, for 4 cuttings. So we kept doing that, because it was working to get this September moisture, so, but it's pretty widespread on the moisture, as you can see. So that's good, so it brings up the antecedent conditions, it doesn't mean a whole lot, we're getting a little bit more right now. I can't really tell you how this impacts us, other than it's a positive impact and not a negative impact if it continues. So that's basically there. We're finishing up the accounting for the year. I guess we'll have that done in a week or so. Didn't quite get it for this meeting. My estimates of last month, and I think they're pretty good estimates, is that the amount of allocation balance that will remain in the reservoir is 35,000 acre feet.
I was by there yesterday, sure looked like they left a lot of water in
They are leaving approximately, I think, 20,000. Yeah, we had requested 12, but they left.
it. Sure looked like a lot to me, but I mean, that was my perception.
It's not, it's pretty shallow, it's just spread out there, but that's why we want it. You know, the more efficient reservoir is Elephant View. We're aligned with the marina and those people, if you can leave it there, leave it there. They found some antiquities. They want them covered with water. Prevents vandalism. That's, EPCWID sent a protest letter on that. I think we had a previous board meeting maybe 6 months ago, you guys authorized us to, I think the statement was that we agreed completely and unanimously with EPCWID in their position, so we relied on their.
Are they gonna maintain that level, or are they gonna start with that and leave it alone, because it won't last long? And if they maintain it, they're taking it out of the dam to do that.
They'll, if we had, about, we don't know for sure, but about all that we had insisted upon, that if we had not been able to conserve a balance of 35,000, that they would have had to release it.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
it would have been a legal demand. But the settlement agreement on the Line White Weaver suit gives them, we agreed, we signed off in a federal lawsuit many years ago to, first one I did for the district, when Jim did that. The settlement says that they have pretty much complete authority within a range, I think up to 75,000 acre feet, to do whatever they want to do. We gave them that authority by settling that lawsuit. Now, why did I do that? I have to ask my lawyer.
They're also, because of the levels of Elephant View, they're sending divers down to see if they're correct with what they've been predicting here
For the sediment.
in the sediment and what the capacity is.
So that's my summary. If you have any questions.
By what authority can they do that? I mean, what gives them the ability to do something like that for an antiquity?
The Antiquities Act it's just like the Environmental Protection Act. It gives the federal government authority to preserve antiquities. That supersedes our contractual. Congress gave it to them. Like this is
Well, obviously, I mean, I just wondered what, by what authority they could do that. So now I know.
well, they have it both by contract or settlement agreement with us and by
Well, but our settlement agreement doesn't mention antiquities. It just gives them the authority to do whatever.
Yeah, it gives them, no matter what, they could use anything to do it, so. I think Antiquities does give them some authority to preserve those facilities.
I'm just wondering, is there no end to all those kind of things? I guess not. Okay, what else, Alan?
Without Robert here, there's no, he can give you the report on finishing up the year, and everything looks, from my perspective, looks good.
Right. Mostly the irrigations that we have going on right now are pecan farmers. And with this rain that we got this last week and what we're predicted to get Friday and Saturday, Robert feels that everybody might just call it a season.
I mean, Jake's got a big update when we switched another item on the agenda when we talk about construction, upcoming construction. We have a lot of construction.
Well, I was gonna ask, is construction going to, I'm sure it will. I know we've been going through the stuff up at the American Canal and all that stuff, preventing any of that water getting down to the return flows. Is that still going on?
Yes.
Through November 1st. It'll shut off November 1st. Robert will take out American Canal. So So a lot of construction's stopped right now, and most contractors are starting on the first, because a lot of it's down here.
We stuck to our standard procedure, not allowing any impact on return flows till November first.
Was
Okay,
the
but
boundary,
my question was, is it going to be affected? We're not
Yes.
gonna have the ability for any return flows?
right,
Right.
from Upper Valley, right?
There's a
They've
lot
got a
of-
project from American Dam to Settling Basin that they want to finish off this
Well, I
year.
was gonna say that hadn't been finished. I was thinking it got finished last year.
No.
No, once, on November 1, they'll start putting it into the Rio Grande over at Seven Basin, or,
At the,
I'll get
um,
down.
I think we still captured Delta Street and Bustamante, which will go into the Franklin.
I was hoping they were through. For some reason, I thought they were and would be able to capture that water and put it to use, but no. Okay. All right. Pedro, you're on.
Good morning.
We want to do all, sorry, I was D, I didn't know, did you want to do all the construction? We can do, we don't have to do it this month.
Yeah, no, I have a good list from, they're not starting up till November, most of the
We'll just
projects.
do the briefing in November when the project is started, or do you want to know now?
November's fine.
There's a lot of you'll see a lot of stuff going on up there. Some of them will start early because we don't have any water at the location that they're starting.
do you have a parkway?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Do you have a parkway?
We're trying to-
Yes. I'd like to start by welcoming Mr. Brooks. We've met before, so welcome aboard.
You're supposed to give him condolences now. You didn't know what he got into?
Okay, let me start off with the wells. We've got a crew working strictly on wells. I've got a total of 9 wells that I need to do work on. 4 of them I need to completely pull out. They've either stopped pumping or they dropped into production. I'm gonna try to acid wash them and then check the pumps to see if they're not pitted, or I pulled some out that actually got holes through there. I do have one that I'm getting gravel into the casing, which I'm probably gonna have to pull, drop the camera, and see if the casing's any good, if it could be sleeved, or if it's just something we're gonna have to abandon.
Someone can be plugged up too.
Right. Yeah, so, we got a total of 59 wells. The rest of the 50 seem to be working pretty good, so. So we're gonna try to get these 9 up and going.
9 of 59?
We got a total of 59.
But I mean, we could pull 9 of 59.
9 out of
The
59.
rest of them are still operating pretty good.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Yeah, seeing the estimate of well life was 3 years, okay? And we're into year
You just did say-
15.
You didn't say it was 3 years, we're talking about the next 3 years.
Next 3 years. We're up to 15 now.
And I'm hoping that some of those I could probably sleeve with maybe a casing, a smaller casing, and go in there and sleeve it, and maybe keep it going for another 15 years.
Talk
They're
about-
plugged up. If they're plugged up, then
Right.
what do you do?
Yeah.
We've got a whole bunch of projects coming up. I've got right now a total of 11 crossings that I have to redo. I've got 2 for the city of El Paso. The other 3 have been completed under the contract for 2018. I've got 5 to do the first city of Socorro, 2 for the county of El Paso, and then I've got about 5 that I've got to do just for private farmers that have requested crossings, or crossings that have deteriorated over the years. We're also gonna, as Drew mentioned, we're gonna go and start on the shotcrete. We're working on the Isla as we speak. As soon as we're done there, we're hoping to move over to the riverside and try to get ahead of the game a little bit by narrowing the channel. So once everything goes through with Al and Mr. Reyes and Jay, we can go ahead and start the shotcrete on the riverside.
Yeah, the east that we're doing from Horizon Boulevard through Tres Hermanos.
We don't really
Section right there.
envision Riverside being available for any work until next year.
Right. Okay.
There's very
Well,
low probability that we ever do.
That riverside, I actually have continued to work on it over the past couple of years that we stopped the shotcrete there, by narrowing it. You know, and it's been holding up. Yeah, I get a little bit of washout, but
Yeah, you can do maintenance.
yeah, from
Nothing related to the construction project.
From 80 feet that Riverside was, I've kind of narrowed it down to about 60. Now I just need to go down to about 30. So, is that the number right now? 30, 26?
26.
Yeah, so,
It's about 30.
so there's a lot of dirt that needs to be hauled in. And,
Yeah, as long as it's, we're prohibited from, once we're under this agreement with the United States, we can't, until the environmental work's done, we can't take any earth, you can't disturb any earth except for what is routine maintenance on that section.
Well, wouldn't that be routine maintenance?
That's what I said, it's
Yeah.
routine, yeah.
Okay.
It has to be, because I'm just telling you, you can't do any
okay.
construction. or
There's-
do
and there's actually a section of the Franklin Canal that needs to be done from Americas down to the Glarnchecks, which is about maybe 200 yards. We've got a subdivision going in there too, or a
Right,
medical office or
they're
something?
building some senior citizen homes right there, right behind that, what used to be that Peter Piper Pizza there. And Tropicana Homes is building in there, and, yeah, and it's federally funded, I think.
And that one they built down there by Moon Road too, that was a different deal, right?
Yes. Mhm.
That was a private.
Private, yeah.
They had to put in a big crossing and whatever, I remember that.
Right, he's visited with us several times with Jay and myself. He was worried about a crossing, but the city of El Paso actually owns that street, that crossing that's right there, right behind what used to be the Peter Piper Pizza. The only thing is that we might, in the future, need to relocate that well that's there. And Robert really liked the concrete line above 375, and it cleared out all that sand out of the canal. It's working real well, so he wanted us to do that section there, so I've been talking to Pete about it.
So we're gonna start work on that as soon as we're done with the east. We're continuing with our mowing until I can get caught up and kind of give the whole district another cleaning. This is an area up there by Fresno Road. The city maintains this side of the fence, I maintain the inside of the fence, so I had a code enforcer call me, and that's when we were done, and that's the city's part, so. It has been clean since then, it has been clean since then. I spoke to Duty, and he went out there and got it cleaned out, so it looks very good.
Just turn the wheel.
Go that way? Okay. We continue to raise banks. Every time they give me dirt at a certain area, I take advantage of it and go get it and go close by to raise banks wherever it's needed. This is over in the pavements area. And it turned out pretty nice. We're working on this canal here and on the Franklin Canal. Franklin Canal, we did some work on the middle drain where we removed a culvert. So we had a big stockpile of dirt that we utilized here on this right bank of the Franklin Canal, where we had shotcreted last year. And we're still working on this whole area from here all the way to Omega, because this is the section Mr. Reyes was speaking about.
Yeah, that's a new design that we put in, and it's used pre-fabricated rebar panels.
Panels, yes.
That worked out pretty well.
It worked pretty well.
8 by 10 panels.
Really?
And the curves look beautiful, great. I mean, it looks,
It actually worked out easier than what I thought.
it's still a shotcrete, but this time with reinforced steel in it. So this is instead of our 20-year design, this is a 50-year design.
Wow. And the reason we went to that is because of all the heavy traffic, all the huge trucks and city buses and so on that run along there. So we decided to go with the panel instead.
Yeah, I remember y'all talking about that, that's pretty neat. I noticed that they were building a bridge like that, sections of the highway.
Already,
I never had seen that.
but you know, the panels, yeah, I guess they've got
I
computerized.
wonder how you connect it all.
We have to overlap, we have to have a 4-foot overlap, we have a,
No, I know this, I'm talking about building a bridge, how do you connect panels and make it steady? I mean, you know what I'm talking about, the bridge spans.
there's,
They do it.
Expansion joints.
I like it, yeah, I like to see how they do it.
243, same thing, raising channels, banks. This is the Riverside Canal over by, almost behind San Elizario. And as you can see, Border Patrol has failed to maintain the top of the banks. They claim because there was too much sand on top and they couldn't get in there. So I'm going in there right now and I'm removing all the sand. You can see it right there from the top of the bank. So hopefully they can go in there and clean up the top of those banks. We'll go in there and mold the sides once that Riverside dries up a little bit more.
And that's, just for George's experience, that we spent, what, 3 years litigating that? They put the fence in the wrong place. It sort of really made it hard to maintain our canal, but the United
At
States.
least the canal's on the right side, that was the first fight we had. They wanted to put the fence on the other side and put us on the Mexican side. And
Yeah. Well, we had wanted the fence put on the other side of the O&M road, closer to Mexico, and they wouldn't do it.
Okay, and then some of the crossings that we've had to replace this here, we replaced the culvert underneath. There was actually a private ditch going over the top. The farmer paid to get the pipe upgraded, so we upgraded it to an A2000. And he paid to do 2 of his crossings. He also upgraded from a 24-inch crossing up to a 36-inch pipe.
And the 2000's coming in 20-foot lengths?
They're 24
4s, that's great.
He's also requested that we upgrade the turnout up to a 36. He's also got a 24 there, so we'll be doing that as soon as we hit water out of the you.
I was gonna say, so we can get even more water?
so you don't get less water. You're gonna suck the canal dry.
This is a pipe underneath. Anahuato Drain at Schaefer Road. County of El Paso paid for the pipe on this one. Seems like every crossing we've done, we've run into some kind of water line, gas line, or some type of line, sewer line.
Go back to that other picture.
This one here?
I'd like to look at that one. Look at those three.
Two cats will go.
But we are going to look for
A crane.
Crane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now,
You need
actually,
3 cranes, is that what you're telling me? It went from 1 to 3?
Well, we have a header, that header's not the big header, right? Don't we have, we can build a header,
actually, that one extends.
that one extends.
Yeah, it extends.
It may not be quite thick enough, but for the weight of the pipe, depending, but it,
Yes.
but if we get a header built right, I don't know if you've seen them before, they're typically triangle shaped, then you can deal with 1 crane, it has to obviously be balanced. So,
the strain to those arms. We talked about that before with you all, and just so you all know, just to repair the one that went down, the arm was
18,000.
18,000, and
They take a lot of beating, those
Yeah.
arms, and the longer they are, the worse it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really having
This
a
is
long-
somewhat of a ballet, though, is our biggest problem. This requires a lot of coordination, since you don't have a crane, you just go vertically down in place.
No, listen to it. Y'all caught that last time.
As you can see, you got a phone line going right through there. Right over the top. Luckily, the water line, we were able to cut it off on both ends, and we just tore it out.
And with the phone line survived?
Yeah. And there's Schaefer Road after we're completed with it.
Schaefer Road.
Favorites intercepting over by FFR. You'll see a before and after picture on the drain. There's actually a drain back there. There it is.
Wow.
Wow.
Missed it.
Middle drain at Englewood Road. This one here, I don't know if you can see it there, but they actually installed a pipe on top of the pipe. I think the next picture, there it is.
Wow.
You can see it a little bit better. So we were trying to figure out why they did that. Once we took that top pipe out, we figured out why. These are the city of El Paso dumpsters. They were taking all the debris, being that it is a city road. And that's the reason they did it.
Holy moly, it's concrete?
It's concrete.
That's an old.
So the other one was right on top of that one.
Wow.
So we went ahead and removed the concrete. Unfortunately, our equipment couldn't raise it. Now having a crane, it will. But
They authorize it, right?
Now they're teaming up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they got a tag team on it.
so we had to take a wrecking ball out there and kind of tear it up before we got to remove it.
Those are, I don't think they stopped making that type of pipe in the 50s.
Wow.
1850?
1850, yeah. No, I think that's when they first started making.
Luckily, this year was it was dry, so we were able to put in a pipe at a time. So
Yeah, I'm sure putting a pipe on top of the other one wasn't quite
It wasn't quite
designed
Procedure,
elevation, right?
yeah, maintain the grade of the groundwater.
The grade might have been a little bit off.
the wheel's not turning.
Lift it. And then turn the wheel.
Left click and turn.
Then kick it and turn.
Oh, left click and turn.
If it doesn't want to. I can do it. Yeah.
Okay, that's the Inglewood after it was completed.
I'll just do it.
Okay.
The press, okay, you want me to take over?
Yeah, take over. That's the road. We actually extended the road up to 98 feet. And you can see now they got shoulders and they actually they want to put a sidewalk through there. They can actually put a sidewalk, and there's actually a mobile home park just on this side of the drain, so.
And this is all actually work on that agreement that we signed with Stormwater on upgrading the drains. They're paying for all the materials.
You think so? Middle drain, this is another one. This is the area where I mentioned earlier that we removed all the dirt and utilized it on the Marin Canal. Here we got the Lowenstein lateral going over the top of the drain, which we no longer, there's no irrigations or no farms on the other side of the track, so that section of the ditch is no longer needed. So we went ahead and open cut it. Well, and we ended the Lowenstein there. We installed the wasteway, so now the Lowenstein was in there to where this was a constant problem with the railroad, because the railroad's right there, and every time the train goes by, it would throw rocks and all sorts of debris inside the channel, and it will plug up the channel there. So we would have overflows right at the tracks. So doing this, I think it will eliminate that. This is another one of the city crossings, middle drain at Nevada's Road. This one here, we had actually a sewer line and a gas line, high pressure gas line. Unfortunately, that sewer line was right in the middle of where we needed to go. So I had to drop our pipe an additional 18 feet, or I mean, I'm sorry, 18 inches to be able to go under it.
Is that a approved pipe, or what was it put in your own place?
I don't know.
Did they have a license for it? Whose is it for?
El Paso Waters.
We don't have a,
Nevada's, yeah.
No, actually, this is Lower
That's
Valley.
Lower Valleys, yeah. So there's one of those master licenses that includes, it doesn't have any locations or stations or anything. It just says Lower Valley Water Sewer System and Water System. So
Predates when we,
we're trying to get those all
Yeah.
that was one of the
redone.
previous general manager approved before we got set up with procedures and so.
yeah, right, the procedures, so you can't change it, though, it's gotta stay there.
Then it's all gravity flow, so.
The problem is gravity flow. So yeah, so we're working on getting those licensed. Some of those licenses have already expired, and we just had about another 30 renewed here in the last, we're working on the process. to
The
get those renewed.
installations, whether they're just there. you
They're
know,
existing, but they've expired already, licenses. so
But they're
we're-
not by our design or our.
Yeah, they don't meet our specifications.
Some are not, right? Unfortunately, that one is
For Pete,
right in the design grade, so, I mean, fortunately it was a drainage, we just lowered it slightly.
when you discover those things with one of those excavators,
Right.
then you got real problems.
Yeah, especially a high-pressure gas line.
Oh, yeah, it's dangerous, but the other one, to get it back to where it works and the right grade.
So neither of those, both of those, we wouldn't have had to work with them on the sewer if it had to be on grade. So normally would have manholes on each side and gone underneath. We do allow as a variance to go over the top, but only if we reinforce the whole facility first, right? To make it a 50-year facility or a 100-year facility, then they can go over the top. And then something like the gas line, we don't allow, but that would never be allowed now. That would have been a bore at 20 feet of depth. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how that
Whose
happened.
gas line is it?
Texas gas,
Texas
Texas
gas.
gas service.
So any new ones coming in or any repairs, we work with them to get them put way deep.
And who does it serve then? Houses or?
Subdivision over there.
Yeah, there's a subdivision over on the north side. There's that mobile home, because this is just very close to that Inglewood Street. So, it serves all Socorro and part of Muncie. And that's about 6-inch gas line. Go to the next one.
Should have been shorter.
Hey, Pete, I have a question.
Next one?
Yes.
Bill?
When you when you cross these lines, when you see them and they happen, and you do your work or something, do you, or as part of the engineering, do you